Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Luis and today we're going to be talking about some of the news that just came out a few days ago about Miss Universe being up for sale. So for those of us pageant fans who follow everything related with Miss Universe but also with international organizations overall, it was a shock when we found out that the Miss Universe organization was up for sale for the amount of $20 million. This information was published by the journal The New York Post, and of course I think that it received very mixed emotions. Some people were really in denial about the fact that the organization is up for sale. Some people were really happy about it because they thought, it's going to be a change when it comes to the management. And other people were just confused about the price points and that $20 million, it's a lot of money. Some others going as far as saying that $20 million is very, very cheap. So of course, everyone had a lot to say. And for me, being a pageant fan, and especially someone who makes content about beauty pageants and Miss Universe, I didn't really know how to feel about the entire thing. However, there was only one thing that was kind of suspicious for me, and that's that absolutely no one was questioning the validity of the source. Is it true? Is it an allegation? Has anyone from the organization said something that confirms what this journal is informing to us? So the purpose of this video today is, yes, of course, to have a conversation about the allegation, but also to use our critical thinking and decide if we can use the New York Post as being a reliable source when it comes to this type of information. So if you find some sort of value in this video, don't forget to hit the like button so that it gets recommended to more people. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. And last but not least, be part of the conversation in the comment section down below. I want to hear your opinions. Do you guys think that the Miss Universe organization is really up for sale for $20 million? Yes or no, and why? Okay, I won't keep you waiting much longer. I will see you with all of the juicy information that I prepared for you guys right after the intro.
Be strong.
Alright, so I pulled up some receipts for you guys, and I think that the first thing that we need to address is the original article that everyone is talking about, and it's this one right here saying that the super agent Ari Emanuel struggles to dump Miss Universe pageant for $20 million. And here we are supposed to have a source. Already this title is kind of a red flag for me because of the selection of words. I mean, whenever you're trying to be a journalist, you have to be as neutral as possible. The goal of a journalist is just to provide the information and allow the audience to make whatever they want with the information by getting different perspectives on it. Already using the name of the owner of the Miss Universe organization and tagging them as being a super agent who is struggling to dump the Miss Universe organization. We're not talking about just passing to another organization. We're not just talking about a simple sale. We're talking about dumping, as this is something that is not good, that is no longer useful, that is completely worthless. That was the red flag for me because I thought it already gives us a perspective into how the journal feels about the organization and the owner of it, the agent who owns the entire thing. I still took some time to go through the article itself and just read a little bit about the things that they were saying, and please keep in mind some of the information that I will be sharing with you guys as we read this article. So the first thing is that they mention, of course, the value of the pageant. So they say that Emmanuel wants to sell it for $20 million, and that of course that is more than what the actual organization is worth. And they also take the time to specify that someone who is familiar with Miss Universe and their financial institution said that the organization books $2 million in losses annually while generating a revenue between $7 million and $9 million. Here's the thing, at no point during this article, the journal is revealing who the source is. And to be honest, for someone to know so well the financial situation of this organization, it will have to be someone who works within the organization, most likely within the finance department or something like that, because otherwise, how will they have access to specific numbers detailing that the organization is losing a certain amount of money and what their actually revenue is based on whatever deals they have for that year? I also think, and that's something that they have not taken into consideration, at no point during the article it was mentioning that the pageant is also, just like any other business in the country, in the United States or in the world pretty much, has been going through the pandemic. The pandemic has been extremely challenging for pageants, especially a lot of them did not have the opportunity to have in-person activities. Some of them became hybrid pageants, being partially online or completely online. And I think that the Miss Universe organization really tried to the best of their ability to adapt to the situation. They still had a physical pageant in 2020 as well as in 2021. But of course, those things are not mentioned anywhere in the article. If you read further into the article, there's other information that is being shared, and that is that Emmanuel has been trying to woo foreign investors based in Asia and South America. And please don't quote me on this one, but I believe that if it's a US organization, they can only sell it to another US resident or citizen, meaning that whoever is willing to buy the pageant, if they are in Asia or South America, they must have a valid residence or citizenship in the US in order to be able to purchase the organization. That's my belief. I'm not a lawyer, I don't work with these technicalities, but that's what I've heard. That's something to also keep in mind while reading through this. If you take a look at it, they also mentioned the mogul doesn't like admitting that he lost money on anything. Those, once again, are very strong words, and at this point during the article, it is starting to feel like they have something against Emmanuel, against the owner of the entire organization. So I did a little bit of digging because it just felt suspicious to me, and I found out that this is not the first negative article that the New York Post spreads around Emmanuel. They like to talk about his entertainment company and the fact that he was selling shares of it in the stock market, and you can see that most of the articles have a negative connotation in order to address the company or the owner of it. For example, this one, Ari Emanuel's endeavor facing weak IPO demand. Sources. So once again, we have a source, but we don't know who the source is. Ari Emanuel's entertainment empire slashes IPO price. So they're taking time to announce when things are going badly, but I haven't seen anything positive so far. Ari Emanuel's entertainment company just killed its IPO. Once again, I want you guys to keep in mind the strength and the selection of words or adjectives that are used within the titles to categorize whether it's the organization or the owner or the entertainment company that owns the entire institution. So based on this, I was wondering, if this is what they say about the owner, what does the New York Post say about Miss Universe as an organization? So I went ahead and pulled up a few articles, and here's what I found. When they wanted to talk about Elle Smith winning the title of Miss USA, they didn't describe it as a simple pageant win. They had a selection of words, and that was Miss USA Elle Smith wins wokest pageant ever opposite first trans contestant. So there's a few things. Wokest pageant ever. What is that supposed to mean? Usually the word woke has a negative connotation because people nowadays just use it to criticize people who might be way too aware of like social issues or feminism or misogyny, or who are willing to call out inappropriate behaviors. And to a certain extent, if that is overly done, that's what people like to call woke. I think that Miss USA is a conscious pageant in the sense that they are aware of their social responsibility and the consequences of not promoting certain visions. However, to call it a woke pageant, I think that that's a little push. They say that Elle Smith won the wokest pageant opposite first trans contestant. I mean, they're talking about Cara Luna, who competed in last year's edition of Miss USA. However, we all remember that Cara Luna did not place. She did not make the top 10 or 12 or whatever top they had. Carolina was just one of the contestants of the pageant. So once again, it seems like the journal is just very selective in the way that they share the information and the connotation that they add to it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video and wonder how come nobody questioned when this came out. There are so many different articles out there from this journal talking negatively about the owner, the parent company, the organization, the contestants, and no one is going to question the information that is being shared by a source close to the pageant. Now, if we take a look at this other article, Miss Universe pageant makes inclusive change, allows wives, mothers to compete. What? Why do you have to put inclusive within quotation marks? It's not an inclusive pageant, it's an inclusive pageant. What they're doing is a positive change to include more people, to allow more women to be empowered and have access to this platform. Yes, in the past, it wasn't the case, but now it is. Why is it inclusive? This is the same thing that they did with Elle Smith when they had the title with wokest within quotation marks. You see the little microaggressions here is very passive aggressive. And if you're wondering how do they talk about the different categories, the pageant itself, well, I found this amazing article of theirs describing the national costume competition. And here is the title: The Wonderful Wackiness of the Miss Universe Costume Contest. I mean, first of all, this is a journal that definitely doesn't understand pageantry. They don't even know about what category they're talking about because this is not a costume contest. This is a national costume which is intended to showcase different cultures from all over the world and provide a moment of visibility for those cultures and those elements, whether it's something from their countries, whether it's an image of their values, whether it's something about the current political, social situation in the country. It can be anything for as long as it represents an aspect of their culture, of their nationality. And once again, is the passive aggressiveness in the title for me. Wackiness. That's definitely a word with very negative connotation. So the question that I asked myself, can the New York Post be considered a reliable source in terms of journalism, in terms of its ethics, in terms of their sources? If I was you, before I believe anything that's on the internet, I would actually go ahead and do my own research. I didn't have to go so far. I just went to Wikipedia to get like an overall idea. And funnily enough, the first thing that I found within Wikipedia is this section right here saying content, coverage, and controversies. The Post has been criticized since the beginning of Mudrug's ownership for sensationalism, blatant advocacy, and conservative bias. In 1980, the Columbia Journalism Review stated that the New York Post is no longer merely a journalistic problem, it's a social problem, a force of evil. Of course, I'm gonna tell you right away, I'm not from New York. I don't read this journal on a daily basis. I don't really keep up with their articles. However, I am aware of how supportive they have been of Trump. And that is another thing that they have in common with the Miss Universe organization. So of course, for some reason, they don't seem to like the guy who purchased the entire pageant. However, we all remember that Trump used to be the owner of the franchise. And of course, just to verify that, I tried to pull up some of the previous articles when we can see a little bit of sexism or perhaps a bias for Trump. And right away, I found this front page talking about Hillary Clinton. No wonder Bill's afraid. And we have a crazy photo of her looking all mad and like she's about to hit him. Another front page about Hillary, this time's around Hill's lip is showing. Bernie surges in New York poll. And this is just an example. It's not to push an agenda for Hillary Clinton or for Trump. Like, I'm in Canada, I don't care about politics. But what I'm saying here is that this journal clearly has a bias. Not only they favor and they seem to have a bias for Trump, they also have a reputation of being very conservative. They don't like the owner of the franchise. They don't like his entertainment company. They don't like the competition or the categories. They think that it's a woke pageant. And I mean, that's just a lot of things. And they don't reveal any of the sources where they're getting the information from. And that's why I ask myself and I wonder, how come no one is questioning this information? It doesn't mean that the pageant is not up for sale, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the owner is trying to dump the pageant. It doesn't mean that the pageant is doomed. It doesn't mean that if there is someone who purchases it, Miss Universe cannot continue growing and giving opportunities to women. This is not necessarily the end of it. When the pageant was bought by IMG, it continued running, it continued evolving, growing and adapting to its time. And I know that a lot of people struggle with that a lot, keeping up with the times and making sure that the pageant is inclusive and representative of the society. But at the end of the day, that's the purpose of the pageant, is to give a platform to the modern women. And you cannot have a modern pageant if it works with ideas from 50 years ago. They have to adapt over time to survive. I'm gonna tell you my honest opinion. For me, this feels like a character assassination. So there's someone behind the scenes or someone from another organization just trying to stain the brand or the name of the Miss Universe organization. I'm not saying that maybe the pageant is not for sale. It might be the case, but who knows about the intentions? It might be it just doesn't make sense for the parent company, or they want to reinvest the money in something else, or they just don't want to be involved in pageantry anymore. Why would you assume that they just want to dump the pageant? After all, we're starting to move towards a new day in pageantry. The pandemic is not as harsh as it was a few years ago. And at the end of the day, there's still a lot of interest for Miss Universe, the organization, and what they represent. I think that that's enough of me talking for today. What do you guys think about this entire controversy? Do you believe that the pageant is up for sale? Do you believe that they're struggling or that the owner just wants to dump the pageant? Did you question the source of the news when it came out? So please let me know in the comment section. I will be reading you guys as always because I'm really intrigued about this one. Thank you for watching and I will see you soon with more content. Bye guys.